It's 8:33 and breaking in our newsroom within the last hour. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is speaking out now on President Trump's threats of a federal takeover of the nation's capital in an alleged effort to stomp out violent crime. Now, the president has been suggesting a federal takeover in recent days after a former DOJ official was caught in recent violence in D.C. The mayor just spoke on MSNBC. Take a listen.
If the priority is to show force in an American city, we know he can do that here. But it won't be because there's a spike in crime. This is what I know. We are not experiencing a crime spike. We do know that this task force has been focused on quality of life issues.
D.C. Mayor on MSNBC. Well, tomorrow, President Trump is expected to make a major announcement in his push to stop violent crime in the district, as he says. But data again shows that violent crime in D.C. is actually down. It raises questions about this move and what it means for local rights and law enforcement. We're joined this morning by William Banks, expert on national security and law, to break it all down. So thank you so much for joining us.
It's good to be with you. Thank you.
Let's talk about what authority the president actually does have over law enforcement in D.C. compared to states' governors elsewhere.
Right. As I'm sure your viewers and most in your community know, D.C.'s a unique entity legally in the United States because it's not a state. It's a creature of an act of Congress. And indeed, the D.C. Home Rule Act provided for the election of your mayor and your council, and the mayor and the council are in charge, not the president. And the difference then between a state and a district in this case is pretty fundamental because here the mayor and the council make policy, decide on priorities about law enforcement, task force, and the rest, whereas in a state it would be a governor. And a governor would then, in a city, of course, have in turn delegated that authority to a mayor. So it's a very different arrangement. And again, there's something called the D.C. Home Rule Act that lays out in statutory form the authorities of the mayor and the council. The president can't change that arrangement because it's an act of Congress. Only Congress could change the basic charter or law that allows D.C. to govern itself.
What does this mean for the more than 700,000 residents of D.C. as far as their constitutional rights amid these increased federal patrols?
Well, to the extent that the president attempts to assert federal patrols in the district, constitutional rights of the people remain as they are today. That is, whether the police that are responding or seeking out to confront or even detain or arrest individuals on the street are wearing a federal badge or a federal uniform or a district badge or uniform. Our Fourth Amendment rights, our Fifth Amendment rights, our First Amendment rights remain. They're no different whether the official that stopped them on the street is wearing a federal or a district badge. The only special authorities that the president has with respect to DC are emergencies that are related to national security. If there is a short-term national security threat in the United States, for example, January 6th, to take an ironic one, he would have had the authority to use federal forces to try to quell a disturbance in and around the Capitol on that day. If something like that happened again, he would temporarily have that authority. His underlying authority, though, remains very strictly controlled by the D.C. Home Rule Act, and only the Congress can change that.
So what are you expecting out of the White House tomorrow with this big announcement?
I'm expecting rhetoric. I think the president knows that controlling violent crime is a popular topic in the United States, not just in the District of Columbia. So I expect a lot of rhetoric and a lot of effort to draw attention to what he sees as substandard police work in D.C. As the mayor said in your clip just a moment ago, the crime rates in D.C. are actually on the decline, not increasing, including violent crime. So there's contrary evidence to cut against the president's rhetoric.
You know, the mayor has been quiet on this until now. We've also been waiting for comments from the mayor and the council. What do you make of the timing here?
Well, again, I think it supports the president's policy agenda to make the people, his base, and the rest of Americans pay attention to issues that he knows cut in his favor. That is, trying to use government to control crime. Don't we all want that to happen? We all do, just as you do in D.C. But I think that the mayor is appropriately quiet because, indeed, officials in D.C. are doing the work. I understand. I don't live in the district. I understand that there are violent crimes and that crime is a problem that needs further attention in D.C. And I believe D.C. officials are taking those steps.
You know, we've kind of seen this before in a different way. Back in the 90s, a former council member talked about that. A control board was put into place under President Bill Clinton. The president now, Trump, says that this should last for about a week or so. Is that what you think the end goal is here, or is there anything else coming out of the White House that residents should be aware of?
I think you're probably correct in your expectations. Again, it'll have rhetorical power. The mayor is likely to collaborate with the president in some respects. I know that the police chief in D.C. has a relationship with federal officials in the district, including Justice Department officials. Those are informal, but I think cooperative relationships. There's nothing to forbid cooperation, of course. And if there are more resources being devoted to the problem, I think Mayor Bowser would probably welcome them.
Okay. Before we let you go, what should residents be aware of as this situation develops?
Well, I think residents should be aware of increased presence of law enforcement on the streets, and residents should also be able to determine in every case whether the official is from D.C. or the federal government, what kind of badge or insignia that person is wearing. They must also have always some identifying marker, badge, or insignia on their uniform so that civilians know that they're being observed or questioned by a member of law enforcement.
William Banks is an expert on national security and law. Thank you so much for spending a couple of minutes with us on this Sunday morning.
It's good to be with you. Thanks.